Welcome back to another AFK Journey video. First, let's talk team compositions. And team building. I want to cover, real briefly, just the faction bonuses, just to give you guys some quick tips, because I think this will what most of you will spend your time on. I think I'm also on floor 389 for the AFK part, where you get your resources. Hey, but enough about that. Let's talk shop here. The teams you're going to want to start out with. We're going to want to focus on maximizing our faction bonuses, as well as having a good rounded composition. For me right now, I have Thorin, who is a tank, one of the best, if not the best tank currently in the game, and Tandra as a backup tank. This one gets swapped out a lot. This is like my flex spot. This is a DPS position, which normally I think I need to swap this out here. This is a mirror name Odie, but usually I'm using Viperian, and I'll tell you why here in just a second. I have my support, my healer, in Smokey and Miarkis, and then Cicia, who I actually want to start this conversation with. Every single one of you watching will receive this character for free on your first 10 pulls. This is not including all the other good summons and free stuff you're going to get. All of you will get this for free. No random pulls required. Cicia is amazing. She is a Graveborn, so take note of that faction. She's a ranger marksman, and she summons with her ultimate Mr. Carlisle, who's a giant zombie, puts an extra body in the field. He can tank, he can do extra damage. This character will carry a lot of y'all throughout the entire game, if needed. She's just so strong, and I don't think she falls off too hard anytime soon. So most of y'all will be using her, so let's try to maximize and build a team around her. So she's Graveborn faction, right? Let's try to go for 3 bonuses. You will get more, let's say if you have 4 Graveborn, if you have 5 Graveborn, or 5 Murs, 5 anything, you'll get maximized bonuses. However,
that's going to lock you into certain characters, and some factions are lacking in either the tank department, the healer department. I think the sweet spot is having 3 bonuses and then a 2-cent bonus that gives you the most versatility and lets you swap things in and out very, very easily. A lot of flexibility. So let's start with Sekia. We have 1 damage dealer, Graveborn faction. Next I have a 2nd damage dealer here with Viperian. And the nice thing is, he is a lower rarity. He doesn't start as epic ranked.
This was duped up. I gave him some duplicate copies to make him here. But he is very common. We'll talk wishlist right after this, and I'll help you guys pick something nice. But he is just our mage damage dealer. He'll give us a faction bonus with C. Aya. And then, last but not least, I touched on Thoran. Now, this is some of you guys may not be able to get this guy right off the bat, but eventually you will probably pick him up. Not probably, very likely. If you are playing right now with all the heroes given out, you will get this guy eventually. But those of you that don't receive Thorn early, you might have to try a different comp, which I will try to cover as well. But Thorn, as you can see here, I got to Mythic Plus. This was a lot of duplicates. This is going to lock his Hatred Blade, his X-Weapon, which every character will get once you hit a certain threshold of duplicate copies of the character. And on top of that too, it doesn't necessarily mean duplicates. You can use these other, what do you call them? Faction tokens. The Graveborn Acorns for this Graveborn faction, and that'll also let you get copies of the character if you want to upgrade and improve them. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to summon Thorn himself, but this gives me a tank, 2 damage dealers, right, of the Graveborn faction. So we're getting a nice stat bonus, and then to top that off, I have my healer here in the form of Smokey and Mirky. He is amazing. Just be careful, because his heal ultimate is kind of a shorter range. But if you can keep your units tightly packed, I think his healing output is bar none, second and none, I should say. And then I have Anandra as my secondary tank. Now, I talked, guys, if you don't have Thorn, for example, I actually didn't have Thorn at the start of the game either. So I started with Anandra, and I had a more mirror-centric comp. What I mean by that is, Anandra was my tank, I didn't have Thorn yet, and so I was using something like Odie. And instead this is a single tank, set up with a 3 mirror faction bonus. I have my support healer here with Smokey and Mirky, Sodii the range damage dealer, Cicia the range damage dealer, and then I have Viperian as a range damage dealer as well. This will maintain the 3 Mira plus 2 Graveborn faction setup, and I can swap things in and out. Right now, I've been liking 2 tanks right here just to protect my backline, as Cicia and Viperian have been enough damage for me. but your mileage may vary depending on what content you're doing. So hopefully, this kind of just gives you guys a rough overview. Don't neglect the faction bonuses, and try to have a balanced comp between your frontline tanks and then your backline damage dealers. Make sure you revolve around your support being good enough. So Smokey and M, I mentioned, is very strong. But units like HN here, or Rowan, for example, let me show you guys them right now. Are also ones you might have access to, but if you use these two units, you might want to swap out for different faction bonuses, Rowan being Lightbearer and HN being Wilder, right? So for Rowan, just a quick example, and last thing, and then we'll talk about wishlist. But for, let's say I had Rowan and I didn't have Smokey Mary, I would still maybe run the 3 Graveborn faction setup, and then right here, for Anandra, let's get rid of the Mers. I could either swap in Lucius if I want a second tank, or swap this out for Va, a very nice, damage dealer that can target the backlines, etc. So I think this 3-2 setup has a lot of flexibility. Once again, if you don't have Thorn, if you don't have one of these, don't worry, just try to maintain the overall guidelines on balancing both stat bonuses, as well as a balanced composition of tanks, damage dealers, and support. And now, I want to talk about the different game modes that I've experienced that I didn't get to in my first video, and just really show the depth and how much content there is, even in the later stages of AFK Journey. Starting with the Dream Realm, you'll be facing different world bosses. Think of like boss modes in other games, where you're going to try to figure out which units work best, because some of them do different abilities. You'll get insane rewards. You really want to push yourself to clear the entire boss or place as high as you can, because the higher you place here against your peers, everybody competes, you'll get better rewards. You want to continually progress and push your limits. Honorable, I think this one of the best things about AFK Journey, and I love when games have access to this. This puts any of you PvPers out there watching on an even playing field, no matter if the guy you're fighting has spent tens of thousands of dollars. If you are free to play, you can still beat him because everyone is on an even playing field. You're just going to use your skill, your strategies, better decision-making abilities throughout the honor duel. In terms of outplaying your opponent, this is replayable content. This is PvP for players that don't want to or don't have access to all the resources and high-level characters with all the dupes. I think this is a great AFKJourneyCreator. If you just like regular PvP, if you want to stomp other players and show off how good your account is, then there is, of course, the normal arena, which gives great rewards on top of it, battle drills. This is one of my favorite features. This is a guild section. And by the way, Baka 7, we are full. This is my guild at the top. If you guys are on server 7, stop binging my live streams. I think I will be starting to, if anyone's inactive, I'll be replacing them. So if you guys do need a guild, you feel free to come check and join me if we have space. Otherwise, please just make sure you get in a guild in general, no matter what server you're on, because there are so many good rewards here. Not only is it fun, but I believe this is one of the best ways to get access to some of the strongest characters and rarest characters in the game. Now, beyond that, I think the last few to talk about is the Arcane Labyrinth, a roguelike mode where you can venture in, get power-ups, and really try to keep your units alive as they have one life. Amazing rewards once again. You'll want to build upon the previous floors and just keep getting bonuses to complete the labyrinth. Last but not least, this is where I am suffering a little bit because, as I mentioned, I'm going for dupes of specific characters. This is where you're going to need to use your mono-faction team. So Tower of Light, you can only use the Light Bearers. For Tower of Nature, only the Wilders. So the wider your roster is, for those of you that are collectionists, this is where you'll really shine and where I'm going to be struggling a little bit. But these are only open on certain days. This adds and forces you to use specific characters and really test how good you are without using your main comp. But overall, guys, I can't stress enough how good of a time it is to play AFK Journey. Not only are there amazing rewards right now, there is something for literally everybody between the PvP modes, between the PvE, the collectionists, the story, the music. I think you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't try this out right now. Use my code, once again, in the description. I'll put in a ton of promo codes. Don't miss out, get all the free characters and resources. And thank you so much, as always, for watching. Thank you to AFK Journey for sponsoring us, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and see you again next time. Bye-bye.